rehearsals, but it's actually to honor Robert and all the work that he does with you as well. We have the tradition of awarding every year someone with musical talents. It's named after Cantor Michael Deutsch. And to my left is David Wansborough, who knows the memory and the history of the initiation of that award. So I'm just going to hand over briefly to David to say a little bit about the award, and then I want to read a beautiful citation in your honor, Robert.
Cantor Michael Deutsch was a big man in every way. He had muscles on his muscles, and he'd sing with a voice that would fill a great room. And the day I met him, he said, "I love Christians." And I said, "Why?" And he said, "Because I had been through the camps for years. I was a boy. I hadn't gone through all the training that my family of cantors had done through 5 centuries. And I was in the camp, and I forgot what day the Sabbath was. And so every night I sang it as if it was the Sabbath Eve," he said. And he said, and in the long march they were going to kill us all. And we were taken to the top of a ravine, and they were machine gunning us, and they were changing the belts of bullets. And they said, "You're not a Jew. You're tall, you're blonde, you're blue-eyed. Come here, get out." He said, "I am a Jew," and stood there. And they hadn't got enough bullets to kill everybody in the long march, and so they marched them further to another camp. The guards had run away. They were starving. They had no toilets. He said the smell of excrement was everywhere, and the smell of bodies. And then in the distance, they heard wonderful singing. And they were rather frightened because they'd never seen a regiment of black GIs before. And these black fellows came, and they suddenly became silent and blew the lock off the gate and took off their battle jackets and gave them Hershey bars. He said he just sucked his and kept it for later. Those that ate it died because it was their first solid food, and chocolate is fat, you know. But they walked around doing what they could, singing "Swing Low, Sweet Chariot," coming for to carry me home. And he said, I loved Christians from that moment onwards. Now, he was very ill towards the end of his life. And I went to see him in the Montefiore home at Hunters Hill. And he wasn't a big man anymore. And he'd asked me on the phone to bring him 2 slices of rye, lots of salmon, a bit of fennel, and some capers. They don't have to be kosher, he said. But, can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry. But he said, "Do you know, I've been looking out the window. Everywhere in nature, we learn lessons. And I learned at the beginning of my internment," he said, "that there are some people that dive for the scrap of bread and will fight and exhaust their energy that they would have got from sharing the piece of bread and eating a small part. They would have exhausted it trying to grab lots of bread. It wouldn't compensate for their injuries and their effort." And he said, "Look at the sparrows." He said, "When one of them finds lots of seeds or bread, what do? They sing, and they only enjoy it if a lot of sparrows come." And he said, in the deserts, I've read, he said, that other birds die, but not the sparrows. They have evolved to eat little bits and to share everything with each other. I said, "How would you like to be remembered?" He said, "The world is terrible, And I was quite shocked because he was a small man at this stage. He wasn't big anymore. He said, the world is terrible and we can't get on. There's a world of difference between Buddhists and Hindus and Sikhs and Muslims. There are Sufis that aren't accepted, El Hakim's lot aren't accepted. And he said the Christians, they just split off into things. And look at us. There's Temple Emmanuel, Central Synagogue, there's the Great Synagogue. He said, but what we all do as human beings is sing. And he said, when you're singing together, you can't hate someone. You can appreciate them. He said, I would like to be remembered by giving an award not every year, but from time to time, when somebody remarkable comes. From time to time, who music transcends a denomination or a sect or a faith-based group. And he said, the only reservation, it must acknowledge God. And he said, I know atheists who are really angry with God. That is a great acknowledgement for God. He said, I would like to be remembered by musicians and singers, composers, and so on, like Winsome Evans and Joseph Tolt, hence we nominated them. But these people who singing isn't confined to their faith group, and without compromise, they sing everywhere and are real human beings. That's what he wanted. I hope you get an image of such a great man. Thank you.
So you've heard about the hero Cantor Michael Deutsch. Now we will see the man who is honored in his honor. The Council of Christians and Jews, New South Wales, acknowledges, Robert Teicher, your profound commitment to the liturgical life of the Great Synagogue, Sydney, as conductor and music director for over 30 years. In more recent times, we are aware of your contribution to the musical life of the Exodus Foundation at the Ashfield Uniting Church, starting the Reverend Bill Cruz Community Choir. Your work with community choirs, including 2 hospital choirs, the Chris O'Brien Lifehouse Choir for cancer patients at RPA, and the Memory Lane Choir at St. Luke's Private Hospital for early onset dementia patients, has brought so much joy to thousands of patients and led to appearances on national television. There's plenty more. The With One Voice Choir at the Pitt Street Uniting Church has been running for over 10 years. Other local choirs include the Waverley Randwick Philharmonium, the Holsworth Community Choir, the Daydream Believers Choir for people with special needs, and the B'nai B'rith singers. These diverse choirs have inspired so many people. Your musical work at a multitude of aged care facilities from the wider Sydney region for many decades has given an uplifting experience to many religious and ethnic communities, including Jewish, Christian, Italian, and Chinese. Your ability to connect at a human level with warmth and enthusiasm has helped people find their own voice in an open community where all are welcome. You have brought another dimension to the musical experience, lifting people out of the circumstances of their daily lives, giving opportunities to shine, gaining confidence to participate in public performances. Your community choirs have no auditions, and you accept people with no prior musical experience. Street people are made to feel important when they stand next to an experienced singer. They sense that they are part of a community. Somehow the resulting musical experience resonates deeply with the listeners. Music is universal. It is beyond the barriers of religion. It unites us all. here is the reference to Cantor Michael Deutsch. As Cantor Michael Deutsch would say, "You are one whose life and art is like a light upon a hill in the darkness, a beacon for others, a true human being. We celebrate that you have offered your musical skills in different ways in so many different contexts, with a social as well as a spiritual purpose to enrich people's lives." Congratulations, Robert.
This is indeed a great honor. Emmanuel, thank you so much. And David, thank you. And Jolene, I'm not familiar with everybody's names, but I think it's a real honor to get this award, that you thought of me, and I'm just so moved, and yeah, it's so special, and you know, I love what I do, and I'm so grateful that my parents pushed me as a little boy to learn piano, and I'm so grateful to my mom and dad, and I had some wonderful mentors along the way, Tommy Tico, and Verna Baer, and Donald Shanks, Florence Taylor, and many others that shaped my musical being to be what it is, and forever grateful to all of them. And Cantor Deutsch, of course, he bar mitzvahed me. So when I was 13, I met Cantor Deutsch, but my dad and Cantor Deutsch were friends. And when we'd be walking down the beach sometimes on Mono Beach, we'd see him jogging along the beach. He was an avid jogger. And then sadly at Montefiore Home, when I was doing some of my music therapy at aged care work, he was in the audience, and I wasn't aware at that point in time that he was at Montefiore Home. And there's a little joke that I often do in my one-man shows at Jewish aged care facilities. And I call out, I say, "Are there any rabbis here?" And I don't expect anybody to say yes, because then I come and say my rabbi jokes. And there was a voice at the back, and a hand up in the air, "I'm a rabbi," and I walked and I looked, and I couldn't believe it. There was Cantor Deutsch. There was Cantor Deutsch, and I was so moved. I still did my rabbi jokes. But it was very special, and I visited him there many times afterwards. I'll tell you quickly the joke that I said. Yeah. It was there was a rabbi walking down the street, and he sees in the window of the delicatessen something laid out in the window, and he looks and he goes in and he says, and he walks in and he said, "Mister," he said, "what's the name of that fish in the window?" And the guy says, "Rabbi, that's not fish, that's ham." He says, "I'm not interested in the name of the fish." But he was a wonderful man, and as he said, he was a big guy, and he had the most beautiful voice, Cantor Deutsch. And I remember, he taught me all the prayers and everything for my bar mitzvah, and his journey through the Holocaust was phenomenal that he survived, and because many Hungarian Jews didn't make it. I think it's like over 1 million Hungarian Jews didn't survive. Council of Christians and Jews, New South Wales, I thank you, very grateful and deeply touched, and I'm just really emotionally so pleased and happy to receive this. Thank you so much.
Sorry to steal a little bit of your thunder, but we wanted to put you in, as we say in my original language, Dutch, wanted to put you in the flowers. We were ending our council meeting with one extra thing. We have a young member who we're going to send to Melbourne to join us in a conference there that we're holding because dialogue is so important right now. And the conference is called Heads, Hearts and Hands, What Can Dialogue Do for Us? And the council would like to sponsor a young member from the Christian community. We're still looking for someone from the Jewish community. If you know of anyone, let us know. But this person is from the Armenian Christian community. Her name is Mary Gribian. Mary, if you wouldn't mind standing up, just so that we can acknowledge your presence. she's standing just in front of our treasurer, who will present her a check after this. But it is to support her going. She is an education student from the Australian Catholic University. She's going to graduate next year with a Bachelor's of Education in Primary and Secondary, and she's interested in religious education and interreligious dialogue. So I think she's the perfect candidate to be our representative there in Melbourne. Thank you, Mary. Thank you to everyone for allowing us to crash your party, but I hope it was in a worthy cause. You have a great choir director, Robert Mazeltov.
Thank you so much. And we'll finish up with one more song, right? Let's do it.